You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
Hi, I'm Maria Thea Harris or Velosos on social media. Welcome back to Organised Style Podcast for Sober 50 on Instagram. Thanks for listening and don't forget to hit subscribe, leave a 5-star rating and write a review. You can find Organised Style Podcast but with an S not a Z on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, if you want an environmentally sustainable custom dress form, contact Mimi Queens UK and I'll be your body scanner in Australia. Today's podcast is about the 100 Hearts Project. In July last year, Rhonda came onto the podcast to discuss what she went through to diagnose her heart condition correctly. This diagnosis experience turned Rhonda's sewing efforts to create a quilt from now over 200 heart patches from around the world. These heart patches became a reality through the dedication and support of the Guardians of the Heart that you'll hear from in this episode. Make sure you have a look at the YouTube version because that will have the images of the patches from each of the Guardians. Rhonda was also able to provide video from Dr Linda Worrall-Carter. Now, Dr Worrall-Carter is the founder and CEO of Her Heart Australia. Here's Rhonda to start off this conversation about the 100 Plus Hearts Project and women's heart health.
The 100 Plus Hearts Project has gone from strength to strength. It started off slow, just me having done a podcast, hoping that people would send hearts and patches with their stories to my little post office box in Creswick, Victoria, Australia, hoping that somehow this would happen, that somehow with my little influence on Instagram, if I just kept posting, surely, and kept talking to people in real life, that I know, surely I would get maybe 100. I could get something. And if it didn't work, I thought, well, at least I tried. So the idea was to raise awareness of women's heart disease by telling the stories of real women and putting a patch that represent each real woman into a massive quilt and having that exhibited for people to see and appreciate, and then for those people to read the stories behind those patches, the stories of real women, and be left definitely with the impression that heart disease does affect women.
Hi, I'm Julie and I live in New Zealand. I became involved with Rhonda's 100 Plus Hearts Project over this past December, January summer break in New Zealand. I saw Rhonda sharing on Instagram some of the beautiful heart patches and their accompanying stories that had already been created. And it felt like something really wonderful to be involved in to honour my own mum. So I created a patch for her.
Hi, I'm Suzy, and I'm the Guardian of the Hearts for Spain. When Rhonda decided she would start this 100 Plus Hearts project and this giant quilt, I loved the idea. I thought it was really good, but my first thought was, I don't know any women that have had heart issues, heart problems. That's a men thing, isn't it? Wow, of course not. Of course I know people. And the first person that sprang to mind was my sister-in-law's mother, Joan, who I'd known since I was small and had a heart attack. So my first heart was for her.
Hi, this is Diane from Style Falcon Sewing Patterns. A little shout out today to Rhonda for inviting me to participate in the 100 Plus Hearts Project. It's been a really wonderful way for me to express my love and memory for people I know in my family who I've lost to heart disease, namely my father-in-law and my grandmother.
Hello, Lindy here. I first met Rhonda at the end of 2023, and I've always joked that she's my colourful body double. I met her again a couple of months later, but it was after she'd had a diagnosis about a heart problem. She told me that the symptoms for women are quite different to those from men, and that it's something that hasn't really been researched. And she was having real difficulties even getting accurate information. What she had, what she should do to help the situation, it really took far too long. It was awful for her.
Hello, it's Helen here, the UK Guardian of the Hearts from the 100 Plus Hearts Project. I've come on to talk a little bit about how I got involved with the project to start with and what it means to me. By way of a bit of background, I wanted to share that I developed a very severe and debilitating pain in 2023. They think that was possibly polymyalgia, but then in 2024, I was also diagnosed with ankylosing spondylosis. I must admit, I felt very out of control, traumatized and helpless, which was very much on the other side of the fence from my working identity as a clinical psychologist. And I struggled also to feel that I was being heard by the medical profession for a long time.
Hi, I'm Nicole. I'm from Brisbane. I feel honoured to be Australian Heart Guardian for this amazing project of the 100 Heart Project that is a global statement piece for women with heart disease. I live with microvascular heart disease.
Hi, I'm Dr Linda Worrall-Carter. I'm the founder and CEO of Her Heart. And I'm really proud to be supporting the 100 Plus Hearts project, led by Ronda Hazell, who's an extraordinary ambassador. So this is really a powerful initiative. It brings together creativity, storytelling and lived experience to shine a light on women's heart health.
I also wanted us to support each other. So for women to support other women and men to support women that have heart disease. It's a big journey. It's emotional. It's life-changing. It's all those things. I wanted women to have conversations with other women, men to have conversations with women and other men about heart disease. So I wanted a way, I thought a quilt would surely, a thing of beauty, would make people curious, and then they would start to talk. So that's one of the gifts of art, I guess. We can start a conversation and spread awareness that way.
My mum was in her mid to late 40s when she started becoming wheezy on her daily morning walks. Our GP diagnosed her as having asthma and provided her with an inhaler to help with the symptoms. A few years later, my mum went into early heart failure, and it turned out that she in fact had a leaky mitral valve. She went through open heart surgery and had a mitral valve replacement, and after that didn't require the inhaler any longer. So it turned out that that wheeziness that had occurred a few years prior had in fact been her first symptom of the mitral valve heart disease. My mum became really passionate about spreading the word around women's heart health, just getting women to not too easily brush off symptoms that just don't feel right.
I posted my heart on Instagram and added a little passage to my caption asking if anybody in Spain would like to join in, and if they had any problems they could message me directly and they could send their hearts to me. Anyway, the response was fantastic. I've had hearts come in from different parts of the country, but a huge thanks to Lydia in Madrid, who got her class and her sewing groups motivated to join in, and also to Menshu in Zaragoza, who got her sewing group interested and collected the hearts and sent them together to me to send on to Australia.
You know, it was news to me that women have different symptoms than men for a potential heart attack. and that in women just being tired is a symptom of a potential heart problem. When Rhonda had the idea to create a massive quilt with over 100 patches, it just seemed like such a great idea just to get the information out there with the people that might potentially need it. If it saved one person, it was already worth doing. We slowly got the message out there and eventually reached out to colleagues in other countries, and they kindly also offered to help. Diane at Style Falcon I've only met digitally, and she has whipped together some people in the States.
In light of other people in my family who have been suffering from heart disease but are living with it today, notably my husband. It was a wonderful experience to reach out to the Style Falcon community of sewers to get some help to make some blocks for the 100 Plus Hearts Project quilt. I call my group the Style Falcon Flock, and I put out a request for blocks, and they came through. There were a lot of really touching stories about how people have lived either with their own heart disease or how it has affected their loved ones.
From a crafting perspective, I've always loved crafting, but when my kids were little, just didn't really have much time to do it. But while I was unwell, I discovered sewing again fully, and the Instagram sewing community. Wonderful. It distracted me and I could engage in it at my own pace. I really believe it's important to focus on positives and joy during hard times. And for me, sewing did that, allowed me to do that. And I found the 100 Plus Hearts Project and Rhonda on Instagram, of course. And I think the project captured my attention because of my background in helping others express themselves, coping with physical illness myself, and because it was centered on giving a voice to women in a context that they weren't feeling heard. I offered to collect heart patches and their stories from other people in the UK, and I had no idea how amazing it was going to be. I reached out to some of my sewing Instagram friends as well as other people, and taken aback by the response that I had. After a bit, I thought, wouldn't it be fun to set a little target for ourselves? So I ambitiously set a target of 50 hearts for the UK, and we're very, very nearly there.
I live with microvascular heart disease, and I have since 38. With this condition, it has many challenges. Rhonda and myself and other guardians all over the world are trying to bring heart disease out in the open more and change women's narratives. I also support Her Heart Australia, attend their conferences, and like both Rhonda and Her Heart's posts because I see the bigger picture.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
Each heart represents a woman, her story, and the impact of heart disease. And when you actually see the quilt, you can really feel that. Rhonda has received small hearts from around the world, representing hundreds of women's stories. And she actually showcased this at the recent Australian Quilt Convention in Melbourne. And many women stopped and reflected and shared their own experiences around heart disease. It really created connection, and this is exactly where awareness starts.
So this is our last day with the 100 Plus Hearts project at AQC, the Australasian Quilts Convention in Melbourne. Just going to give you a rundown about how fabulous it has been. We have given away almost all of Her Heart's wallet cards, which have been fabulous. So these little wallet cards that talk about women's different heart attack symptoms have been really well received, and people have gratefully taken that valuable information with them. We've given away a lot of pens and pins and lots of conversations about good feedback about how wonderful the project is, and thanking me for being here and bringing this quilt and raising awareness of women's heart disease and heart health, and sharing these stories and these wonderful little pieces of art from various women around the world. They're amazed at how many different countries our little patches have come from and how far they've travelled already before becoming stitched together as a quilt top like they are.
Heart disease can show up in so many different ways, and the warning signs can show up in so many different ways, not just in the typical, I guess, ways that we think that they would. Involvement in this project just felt like a really great way to both honour my mum and also keep spreading awareness of women's heart health. Rhonda's amazing quilt is going to travel the world, spreading awareness and hopefully helping many women along the way.
There's not time to go into stories, and you've got the book, but they are amazing. All these stories of problems and women that were a huge part of the family and often went undiagnosed until too late, really. So this project is so important. In total, Spain has sent 29 hearts to contribute towards Rhonda's quilt, and that's wonderful. And we've all enjoyed doing it too. But I think there is a lasting message here that has made us all more aware and has started a conversation with my friends here in Spain. If they've seen what I've been making on Instagram, or if they've come into my sewing room, they've asked me about it on Instagram. There's a lot more awareness, a lot more conversation going on.
Helen in the UK has done an incredible job. Suzy, amazing. I'm so happy with how this quilt has come together. There's an age-old tradition of stitching and sharing and joining around a great big piece and working together to a common end. So the quilt is such a beautiful metaphor to share this important information.
I do hope that this project raises awareness about heart disease in women especially. A lot of people think very incorrectly that heart disease is a man's disease. You think of the man is the one who has a heart attack, or the man is the one who has the heart failure. But in fact, it can happen to women too. Our symptoms can be different, and our treatment options also can sometimes be a little more difficult to obtain. Sometimes it's harder for doctors and for the healthcare profession in general to take women seriously. So please listen to what Rhonda has to say and what other people in this project have to say about heart disease. Know the symptoms, test yourself, speak up for yourself, and advocate for others.
I love my role as the UK Guardian of the Hearts, and that there are other guardians across the world, and of course Rhonda, the Queen of Hearts, to link us all. I've been moved to tears, anger, sadness, joy at the stories women have been brave enough to share. I've treasured how we've all translated our felt experience into a visual fibre-based form in these hearts, and I really hope that the project will achieve what we want and that a shift will happen across the world for women and their heart health, because we deserve it.
I've been backing Rhonda ever since this started in August 2025, and I love how much and how far this has come. Like I said, I live with microvascular heart disease, and it's been all through my family. I've had 13 pass away. I was checked at 38 because it was my aunt's dying wish for me to get checked and to try and get in front of this. Thank you.
So for those of you that might not be aware, I started Her Heart over 10 years ago now to raise awareness around heart disease in women, for women to have access to information and the support that they need. So in Australia, you might not be aware, but we lose almost 1 woman every hour. So that's nearly 20 women a day, which is such a waste of life and so unnecessary. Now, we know that up to 80% of heart disease is preventable, and many women, it's just essentially not on their radar. They're not aware of their risk, and they do not feel confident knowing where to seek help. So this is why this type of initiative is really important. You know, it helps start conversations, builds understanding, and also makes something that is often overlooked visible. So we're really proud to support Ronda and the 100 Plus Hearts project, and together we are really looking forward to continuing to raise awareness and create meaningful change for women's heart health. Thank you.
I never expected it to be as large as it has, and it's only got that way through the Guardians of the Hearts, the amazing Lindy in Germany, the wonderful Helen in the UK, Suzy in Spain, Diane in the US, Julie in New Zealand, and Nicole in Queensland, Australia. So I'm so grateful and thankful for these amazing women who have collected up hearts in their own country and sent them on at their own expense, paying that international postage and getting them safely to myself in Australia so they can be stitched together into what has become a massive quilt top. I could not have done it without these Guardians of the Hearts, and I'm so very grateful. And I'm so thankful for all the people who have contributed heart patches and stories to this massive quilt, and I'm so excited to be moving on to the next stage where the quilt, organising exhibitions and opportunities for the quilt to be seen and for those stories to be shared and appreciated to the general public. Thank you very much.
This episode of So Organised Style Podcast for Sober 50 was both video and audio produced by me, Maria Theoharis, in my sewing room, with permission of Ronda Hazell, Julie, Suzy, Lindy, Diane, Helen, Nicole, and Dr Worrall-Carter. Sound by Knief on YouTube. Don't forget to hit subscribe and leave a 5-star rating and write a review. You can find So Organised Style Podcast, but with an S, not a Z, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure you have a look at the YouTube version to see all of the hearts in the 100 Hearts project. Many thanks for the ongoing monthly support of the podcast Patreon contributors. Their paid Patreon membership enables me to create these video and audio podcasts for you for free. If you want an environmentally sustainable dress form, contact Mimi Queens UK and I'll be your body scanner in Australia. Go back and listen to our free Sober 50 episodes on So Organised Style Podcast, and remember to use @ShareSober50 to see your sewing friends in chronological order on Instagram. I look forward to joining you in your sewing room next time. Stay safe, everyone.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.